What up, everyone? My name is Nekky Jamal, and today I want to go over the 5 most common mistakes we all make when we're taking out third molars. And man, I've made more mistakes than everyone listening here right now. So don't worry. I want to share with you five of my most common mistakes that I've made that I'm hoping can help you so you don't make them. So let's just dive into it here. I'm going to share my screen here. Here we are. The 5 most common mistakes. So before we jump into it here, my goal for you is to help minimize future complications for you. I'm just like you, and I just want to protect you. I don't want you to jump into cases that are way over your head. And this is like a very short presentation today. This does not give you explicit license to go out taking full bony distoangular impacted third molars on 55-year-olds. We're just not going to do that. Okay. We have to be smart in what we take on and what we refer out. And at the end of the day, I don't want you all to get into trouble and get in over your head. So just be careful out there, because Monday morning is going to come and we have cases like this. And, patients walk in and they say, Nekky, I need my wisdom teeth removed. They're starting to really bug me. But then you're like, okay, well, which ones can we take on, and which ones should we be referring out? That's the most common question I always get. And first of all, when you say things like that, it's like you don't want to put the patient through multiple surgeries. So either you do them all or you refer them all out. And if you don't feel comfortable taking them on, refer them out. Okay. You do not have to be everyone's dentist, and do what's best for that patient. But if this patient comes in and you're unsure how to really assess this case, you're kind of looking at angulation and you see, the lower right tooth is fully sideways or it's horizontally impacted. How do I get that out? Maybe the lower right one, you're seeing, oh, those roots look a little funny. The top left doesn't seem so bad, right? And then the top right, you're like, well, I don't want to, cause damage to the second molar. I don't want to break bone around there. You just have to be selective in what you take on and what you refer out, and everyone is going to be different. Because I don't want you to get into that surgery and halfway through the surgery, you realize, how do I make the proper flap here? What if I can't get it out? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to the patient? What if that surgery takes 2 hours? That's not really best for the patient or best for you. Wisdom teeth are completely different than taking on other extractions out there. They have their own unique inherent difficulties. And that's really why I wanted to start teaching wisdom teeth, is because so many of us, including myself, have struggled for years on knowing how to take out wisdom teeth. And so that's why I created Third Molars Online. I've taught thousands of dentists across the globe in over 40 countries. And I have countless people text me every day showing me their cases and telling me how pumped up they are. So if you're interested in taking Third Molars Online, I'll have an exclusive promo code for you at the end of the course. But I'll share that with you in a couple minutes. I'm going to make you watch my presentation first. So here we have the 5 most common mistakes. And like I said before, if you want to be a successful third molar extraction dentist, you got to learn to pick your cases. Case selection will either make or break you. And I can't emphasize this enough. Key selection is what's going to make you the best dentist out there, because you have to know what to take on and what to refer out. I don't want you always getting stuck. I want you to be that successful dentist out there. I want you to be the hero in the patient's eyes, knowing that they are made the right choice coming to see you to get those third molars out of there. So there's so many factors involved, angulation, age, The older we are, the harder they are to come out, how wide the patient can open, where that tooth is in position. Is it buccal? Is it lingual? How deep it is? The PDL space, bone flexibility, ethnicity, even that plays a role, right? And so you just need to know what you're getting into before you get into it. Because I find too many dentists are just looking at angulation. You know, just because they're sideways or horizontally impacted does not mean that they're difficult to remove. You just have to know how to get rid of them. But I think the hardest ones, and I'm going to say it right now, the ones that are straight up vertical or even tilted a little bit back there, the distal angular ones, those are the hard ones. And those are the ones general dentists often go for because they can see them and then they get humbled, like I've been so many times. So don't make that mistake. Just don't let angulation intimidate you. You just have to know how to section them properly. So one of my biggest indicators of difficulty is age. It's just a simple rule. Over 25, you're going to be in for it. Every year over the age of 25, they're going to get more difficult just because that bone isn't as flexible. Okay. That the roots are often completely formed. And we all know wisdom tooth or third molar roots, they're often quite funky. So this is when you end up with broken roots or, you can't get the tooth out of there. If that tooth is in function and is banging against the other tooth and it's an occlusion, that tooth's going to be harder to come out because the bone around there is going to be, quite hard. And so I can't I don't want to tell you anything different, but age is an easy way to say, if they're over 25, they're going to be hard. So proceed with caution, because there's been so many studies out there to show the best time to extract teeth is between 14 and 25. Man, I live in Alberta. Man, 14-year-olds, sometimes they come in, they're bigger than me. And so you can't just think, 14-year-old is too young. You go by the development of the tooth and if the person is 6'5" at the age of 14, which I do see, yeah, they're ready to get their wisdom teeth out too. And sometimes 25, those roots are already completely formed and that bone is rock hard, right? So do your best, but this is the biggest study to prove to you that 14 to 25 is the best time to take them out. But at the end of the day, the best management tip I have for you is that you will never lose sleep over patients you do not see. Okay, let me say that again. You will never lose sleep over patients you do not see or treat. Okay, if you refer that patient on, I can guarantee you will have a phenomenal sleep that night. But if as soon as you finish that surgery and you're like, oh crap, did I compress the nerve? Was I pushing too hard? Do I know where the nerve is? That was a high risk tooth. Is this patient going to be numb? And then you don't sleep all night and you're just dying because you gave the patient, maybe you gave them a lot of Marcaine. And so it's going to be frozen for like 12 hours and you're dying to call that patient at the end of the night or the next morning because you haven't slept all night. Are you numb? Are you numb? Do you really want that in your life? No. Okay. Do you want to risk, excessive bleeding? Maybe you're pushing too hard, a broken jaw. Like we don't want any of those things, right? So pick and choose your cases wisely because you will not lose sleep over patients you do not treat. So the second most common mistake that I see is mandibular nerve position. You're not assessing it properly. Okay. There's been so much literature and I'm so excited on how AI is going to do this for us and going to be able to accurately predict a high risk tooth based off a panoramic image alone. It's pretty cool out there. There's so much research going on, but as properly assessing mandibular nerve position is one of the most common mistakes that I see dentists making. Now, I hear this kind of underplayed and I hear it overplayed. So let's talk about, mandibular nerve injuries. Out of all the wisdom teeth that they take out, because wisdom tooth difficulty varies so much in terms of age, location of the tooth in relation to the mandibular nerve, there's a wide variance of mandibular nerve injury after third molar extractions. Okay, so 0.35 to 8.4%. That's huge. That's from 0% to 8%. So eight out of 100 people are going to end up with a nerve injury. I think that's really high if you learn to pick your cases properly. Okay, so knock on wood, I've taken out tens of thousands of third molars. I've had 2 patients with a mandibular nerve injury because I pick and choose my cases. I know which cases I do not want to take on, and almost every single case that I know was high risk that I referred out, ended up with a mandibular nerve injury, but I didn't want to be the person to do it. And that's why I would send it to an oral surgeon who can monitor and possibly correct that nerve injury. So the cool part is 96% of those nerve injuries resolve within 8 weeks, but permanent injury. So that's almost 1 out of 100. We do not want to be that person causing that injury. So it's so important to know what to take on and what to refer out. Because how do we really know when patients are going to be numb or patients are going to have paresthesia or an altered nerve sensation after you take that tooth out? And we have our predictors. We have multiple radiographic signs that kind of tell us if this is high risk or not. And this really started from a study by Rood and Shabab back in 1990. And they have these. I'm sure you all remember these from dental school, and you're like, man, they look great on pictures, but then in real life, you're like, man, what the what the hell are we looking at here? Because you're looking at that pan back when we had film radiographs, you're holding it closer to your face, and now with the computer, you just stick your head right into your screen, and you're like, I can't see if that's a diversion of the canal or if that's narrowing of the root. They all look the same, and if your pan is blurry, well, then you're screwed right off the bat, right? But Root and Shabab, they came up with these, and they're like, if you have a darkened root, deflection of the root, interruption of the white line, or diversion of the canal, those are the higher risk radiographical signs that we look at to predict a higher nerve injury. And so really I couldn't understand these images because they were so blurry. So I made my own. And if there's 4 associations between the tooth and the canal, that would indicate a strong association with it. So these ones are associated with the tooth. These are associated with the canal moving around. And at the end of the day, I'm always left confused because I can't see if it's diversion of the canal or if it's, narrowing of the canal. I can't make that decision right on the spot because sometimes my pan is crap or the patient isn't in the focal trough properly. And then you can't really rely on your radiograph. So in a lot of these situations, I will take a CBCT because I hear so many times like, dentists say, but I can see the white lines of the canal. And if I can see the white lines, well, I'm good. And I don't think that always to be the case. So I would recommend you do take a CBCT whenever you see these 3 cases here. Out of all the research out there, these 3 have been proven to be a high risk. Whenever you see darkening of the root, diversion of the canal, meaning that canal just literally just hops around that tooth, or a loss of the white line, take a CBCT and really understand what you're looking for here. So when we're looking at a CBCT, I'm looking at loss of cortication. I'm looking at the shape of the canal. I teach a 2-hour lecture just on how to read the CBCT around third molars, and I have 10 minutes here, so give me a break. But you just want to see if there's contact between the third molar root and the third molar, between the third molar root and the mandibular canal, and then you can judge what you see here and how you speak to the patient in terms of risk of third molar injury. Just because you have a CBCT does not mean you will avoid the third molar injury or third molar nerve injury. Okay. I don't want you to get in trouble. I just want you to use all these tools for proper informed consent and when you're talking to your patients. So third most common mistake is you're just using the wrong tools. I'll see people try to take periotomes and proximators and piezo surgery units to their third molars. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to be here all day and you're not going to be able to take that tooth out. And so, mind you, if the roots aren't developed that much, then yeah, you can use anything you want. But if the roots are in there, you may be using that angled approximator isn't really going to help you. But I wanted to share with you what I use. Okay, I have a third molar kit with Carl Schumacher that I developed that you can look up. But I just want to share with you my favorite 2 instruments here. This is my kit. I have everything in the kit. I hope the music isn't too loud. It's hard for me to judge. But I just use the 2 most common instruments for third molar extractions, and it's not a secret. Everyone knows what they are. It's my 3 millimeter luxator. I think a 3 millimeter luxator is like the perfect instrument for third molars because the tip is thin enough that it can get right in between the tooth and the bone, and I can usually get a good purchase where I can pop that tooth out of there. So I'm a big fan of a 3 millimeter luxator. Carl Schumacher makes a good one. Hugh Freedy makes a good one. There's a lot out there, but then there's a lot of crap ones too that tend to break quite easy. Don't be buying that crap off eBay because those things just break, man. So buy a good 3 millimeter luxator. My second favorite instrument is a modified Cogswell B, the modified version, not the like the regular version from Hugh Freedy. So Carl Schumacher makes a longer modified Cogswell B. I use these for purchase points. I think it's just a phenomenal instrument. So these are my two instrument recommendations that you all get, but there's a lot out there that's in my kit. A lot of people like the Molt 9 periosteal elevator. I'm not a big fan of it, but I like the Minnesota retractor. I use a drop leg scalpel handle and a Weeder retractor or a Sweetheart retractor to retract the tongue back, and that really helps me get great vision. So number 4, flaps. The biggest problem here is my flaps used to suck, and I'm guessing a lot of your flaps may suck as well. And there's nothing shameful about that. It's just you just need practice, and you need to know where to make the flap and how to make the flap for it to just open up so smooth. So let's go over it here. We got some time, so let's make this happen here. So we've all heard of this, the traditional hockey stick incision. We never go straight up back from that second molar because that lingual nerve is actually hiding there 18% of the time. So we don't want to mess around with that. We don't want to ever give the patient a numb tongue. Knock on wood, after tens of thousands of third molars, I have never caused lingual paresthesia. So I don't want that to be the first. So I'm very careful on how I make my incisions, and I want you to be as well. So we always make our incision on the distal buccal of that third molar, at a 45-degree angle, not straight up. So let's just watch a video here. I use a 15 blade here. We have an impacted third molar. This is us looking down on the area here. If you want to watch this video again, you have access to it. It's if you go to thirdmolars.com thirdmolarsonline.com/flaps. Or if you just go to thirdmolarsonline.com, you will see this video. It's going to pop up and it's going to be posted for you. So you can see everything here, and I'll give you a tutorial on how to do it. We just don't have time here, but I show you exactly how I make my flaps. I want your flaps to be super clean and reflect super easy, just like this. And there's some tips I have for you. We just don't have the time to go through them all here today. So head to thirdmolarsonline.com and you'll be able to see it there. And from here, you can see we have clear access to the tooth. That wasn't traumatic. It's barely bleeding. You can see everything you need to see. And so flaps can be super easy. You just have to know how to make them. And if I can give you a tip, it's make your incisions with intention and with confidence. Make sure your blade goes all the way to the bone. Okay, make sure you're using a sharp blade. Switch your blades after every third molar in the mouth that you're taking out so you can get those crisp, clean lines. Because when you have those clean lines, you can put it all back together. Okay, if you're constantly sawing at the tissue, you're just tearing the periosteum. The patient's going to swell out to here. But after you've made those crisp, clean lines, the fifth most common mistake I see people making is that their suturing is just, I don't know what's going on. I watch people suture, and sometimes it takes 20 minutes to make one suture and it's loose. And so practice your suturing. Like get a suturing board and just practice suturing. Know how to make a proper, simple, interrupted suture. I think that is one of the most common skills that I see dentists lacking. We all think we know how to tie a suture knot, but we don't. And so take your time to learn how to do that properly. After you take out that tooth, rinse that site. Make sure that there's no bone chips or anything in there. Make sure all the roots are out of there. Okay, we don't want to aggressively irrigate that site. I'll show you exactly how I'm irrigating my site here. I'm just using saline. I want to make sure that there's no tooth or bone chips on that periosteum. But then the question is, well, how do we close this site? Okay, you'll see a little tiny bone chip there. Do you see that bone chip? those are what you got to get rid of, because that can cause the patient a lot of grief in the future. So we suck that up there, and I left it there on purpose so you could see, and then I can pick it up with a pair of tweezers, and there's that bone chip. So from there, we can clean off the sites. I always put PRF in my extraction sockets, but being a part of bites, I used to teach that for years with you guys. So PRF is huge. And then we tie the suture there. Okay. So we never rinse the flap. Okay. We never rinse the socket. I always rinse the flap. Okay. I just want to make sure that we're getting rid of all the debris, because there's been so much research to show the more you aggressively irrigate your sockets, the more problems you're going to be in. And that's what can lead to dry sockets. So you can see aggressive irrigation actually led like much higher to dry sockets. So just be careful. So rinse your flap well instead of the actual socket. Just make sure your socket's clean. So let's watch this video here. Okay, we have a lower left third molar. Okay, we're going to take it out. We're going to make a really small flap here. I didn't have to make a big flap to get this one out. Always make your flaps, as big as possible, but as small as you need to, you know what I mean? So, like, we want to be able to have good visualization, but they don't need to, extend to the angle of the mandible. After you take out the tooth, you put PRF in the socket. Now, my recommendation for you, if you take anything out of this here today, is you don't need to tie the patient back up like a zipper. Okay, you don't need to tie that flap like completely shut. There's been multiple studies to show that you will have better healing if you heal from secondary intention after the extraction of a wisdom tooth. So I only put one suture right distal to the third molar, and I've had phenomenal success. It's so much easier on me. I'm using, a PGA suture here. I usually use chromic gut. I just wanted to show you so you can see here. That's it. I want to make sure that I close the area up exactly how I left it, or how I opened it. Basically, I attach light tissue to light tissue. So attached gingiva to attached gingiva. And my patients healed really well. I have very few post-op concerns, but it all goes down to knowing what you're doing when you're going to take out that third molar. You have to know, how to make that flap, how to section the tooth, how to clean the site well, put PRF in there, and then how to suture. If you want to learn more about third molars, or if you're ready to incorporate third molars into your practice, Third Molars Online has helped, like I said, thousands of people across the world. And I'm so proud to be able to help you all with that. Being part of the Bites Institute and watching this webinar today, you get a $300 discount, which is our largest discount. And so just use the promo code Third Molars Online. Sorry, just Third Molars 300. So it's on thirdmolarsonline.com, and the promo code is Third Molars 300. Thank you so much for being a part of this today, and I hope that helped you. I tried to include as much tips and tricks as possible in such a short time, so thank you so much.